Welcome back to part 2 of the Barnyard Gang videos. We are working on making the Barnyard Gang toy bag. We started out part 1 making the bottom of our bag. We inserted a small plastic piece into the bottom before we filled it and closed it up. And now we're going to start on the body of the bag. This is the actual part where all of the little toys that we're going to make later are going to go inside. So we're going to be connecting to these open loops from the bottom, and I'm going to start my section so that this little jog right here is going to be towards the back of my work. Now we're going to go through and we're going to be making some fence pieces that are actually going to, and I'll grab my other one to show you here. We're going to make some long fence pieces that are actually going to cover up that jog. So it's not super crucial where you put this jog. I just wouldn't put it towards the front. So the front of my bag is going to be where the door of my barn is. And that is this guy right here. I have him pinned closed, but I'm going to open this up. This is a bag I started ages ago, and it's definitely using some different yarn, but this is what the little opening looks like as we're going to be going forward. And like I said before when we were working on this is the inside right here, so it's not super crucial for it to be pretty because nobody's really going to see that, because we're going to always have this door closed. And these are the kinds of buttons that I typically use to put in. Now I really prefer the ones that have the little tag on the back of it, where those are called shank buttons, but I couldn't find any. So I'm going to have to go with these when we get to the point where we're putting on our buttons. But let's go ahead and start with the body. I know I've said that 3 times now, so let's just actually do that. All right. Do any open loop with this outside facing you, go ahead and pull a loop in, and we're going to single crochet. This is going to be a little bit fiddly until you get real used to holding it. Go ahead, chain 1, and then start single crocheting. You're going to single crochet in all of the loops all the way around this row. I am single crocheting in my little loose end here so that I can secure that yarn and I don't have to try and weave it in later. Like I said, this is a little bit fiddly and you might feel like your stitches are a little big, at least I do, until I get the hang of what I'm doing and I get my rhythm going. So, okay, go ahead, keep working around this entire row, doing a single crochet in every single open loop till you get over here to this one, and you're going to join for the first time. We're not going to be working in the round anymore. We are going to be joining our rows after this from now on. So when you get over here, go ahead and slip stitch to that first single crochet. As I'm working my way around the row, I realize that this might be a little bit confusing if you're a first timer. Because we worked in the round, there's always that jog between rows. So it looks like, oh, this might have ended here, the front loop only. Just go ahead and work your next front loop only. It doesn't matter that it's a jog down, because when all of this gets put together and we get our fence posts, etc. on here, you're never going to see it. It's not going to show up at all. So go ahead and just work that like you normally would. So in this first stitch, we're going to chain 1 and we will single into that. We're going to single in all of the stitches all the way around the top of this till we get to here. We are not going to single crochet in these 10 stitches. So I'm putting a marker in stitch 1 and in stitch 10. This is our door opening right here. So what we're going to be doing when we get over here is we're going to be turning and working in the opposite direction. So we're going to be working back and forth on a portion of this in order to create that opening. So you'll see that the stitches are going to look slightly different. This is the back and forth section of this, and then we'll go back into working just in the round so that the front side of the stitch is always to the outside. But in order to create this hole in here, we have to go back and forth. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and get this started, and I will meet you when I get over to my next marker over here. We'll chain and we'll turn and we'll go back and we'll do that together, and then I'm going to let you go because it's literally just repeating that same row through row 14. All right, and I will come back and work from that point forward with you. All right, we are at the end of round 2. I came up to my marker and I stopped because obviously we can't continue from there. So we're going to chain 1, going to turn our work, and we're going to single crochet into each of the single crochets going around. So this is going to be our repeated rows from row 3 to row 14. So I would recommend going ahead and using something to mark off your count. So this is row 3. And I typically will move my row markers once I'm like every 5 rows kind of thing. So if you can just remember this is 1, 2, and 3. And then when I get up to 5, I'm going to move it up to my 5th row just because it's easier for me then. And I go, oh, okay, 5. And then I might put another one in at the 10 mark. It just helps me to keep track a little bit easier if I'm marking it off by 5. So it's just a quick visual reminder for myself of where I am in my count, because when you do so many rows of single crochet, after a while your brain just goes fuzzy and you can't remember where you're at. All right, so moving on. We are at row 14. Row 15 says we need to single crochet in 50. So we're going to do one more round, or I should say a half round, of single crochets going in this direction. What I want you to do when you get to the end of this row is to chain 10, and then I want you to join that chain in this stitch over here, the very first stitch of this row. So we're basically going to be working on closing up this area. We are going to be joining each of the rows going up, and what I did here is I marked row 15 so that I could count in 5s. Once again, I removed row 5 and row 10 because I'm going to use those as I'm going up into row 20, row 25, etc. because we're going to be working rows 17 through 27. So all I did was chain 1 and single crochet, and now I am single crocheting into each of the single crochets around, and I'm going to join with my first single crochet. It is going to create a small line up the front of your barn, but most of that's going to get hidden with your door because we are going to have not only the large barn door that we open up so that we can stick our hands inside, but also a little decorative hay barn or hay mound door up at the top here. That'll cover up any lines or any kinds of extra markings that we create with our slip stitch to the first chain. Alrighty, so go ahead and keep working this around. Work rows 17 through 27. Alrighty, we are all the way through round 27, and this is what your barn should look like at this point all the way around. This is going to finish off video number 2. In our next video, we're going to be making the roof, and I'm going to be using black, so I'll see you then.